like today, 160 people RSVP'd for this meetup. Even though it was on Memorial Day, you guys all showed up, so thank you. But we checked in 44 people. So this has been going on since the dawn of meetups. It's unofficially 60% attendance rate, and of course the holidays is even less. And I want to actually be able to give a data-driven answer when people ask, how many pizzas should we buy? Because our venues and hosts are so gracious to provide us with all of the sustenance that we receive. So anyway, we checked in at a couple events, and I'm putting the data. Here's like a gist with one data or one or two pieces of data per collection. So you have all the members, all the RSVPs, all the attendance records. So you can see what those look like there. And then here is the entire database dumped. And I'll put these links on the meetup site. So if anyone's interested in helping with any part of this project, so including like we built the backends with Mongo and Node and a lot of D3 and Backbone in the front, or if you want to visualize anything here, you just want to kind of help the community out, make everything more efficient, and maybe learn a little about ourselves. So I just wanted to show that before we get into our lightning talks. So I had a few people asked to show off some of the stuff they've been working on, and I always think it's really exciting to see what people are doing with D3 right now. So let's start with Kim. Well, Kim, and then Ken, you can come after. Yeah.
So what I'm looking at is like, or what you're looking at is last 100 years of movies. So here we can see Star Wars, and the links between those are like references. So we look at references, and we can see where Star Wars got its inspirations from, and we can see where which movie Star Wars inspired. And so we can see that like it's actually like 3,000 movies, and it actually I opened up the highball, so this is how it looks like. So you can't really see anything. So by putting it up like on a scatter plot, where we get the time here, and this is like the degree. So on here there are the most limited movies, which is Wizard of Oz and Star Wars, and then Psycho. And the nice thing is you can see like different patterns. For example, this is Psycho, and right after it came out, like it got referenced, and on the other side, the Wizard of Oz. It took like 30 years until it got referenced, which is like quite exciting. And the data comes from IMDb, and we also got like a little slider, so we can like hover through it, look at certain times and certain like ranges. So yeah. I'm working on like other ways to display this. This is ordered by modularity. So it's I try to find ways to find like groups in this data sets. This is by genres, so we can like have a look how different genres influence other. See, for example, how like drama influenced like comedy much earlier than action. And this is like another way to display this. It's like a matrix. And this is now people. So this comes from Wikipedia. Yeah. That's like what I'm working on. Just talk to me, or I'm on Twitter. This is my web address. Thanks.
So what this is, the HTML5 Developers Conference was last week. And so what this is a course-directed graph. I took and scraped summaries, sessions.html into JSON. And then each of the people was in this giant JPEG as a sprite. And so I took and did a circle with a pattern background giving the offsets for where the sprite was, which is why this is super laggy. But you can see it's responsive, so you can, when you resize it, it goes ahead and redraws the graph. And then if you click on somebody, you'll get a link to, this is a link to their bio on html5.com, and this is a link to their session. And these are all draggable, yada yada. So that's what I did, and it was kind of fun. So. The only thing I would have to say is don't use giant sprites like that. You can watch, if you watch it closely, you can watch the picture trying to fit where it's supposed to be, the offset pattern.
Sorry. So about a month ago, I got a contract to do like a dashboard for a startup. They actually launched sort of today, this morning in Canada. So I'm happy to kind of present some of the things that I worked on. So the app that they do is a pairwise voting app. It's for establishing a fair process in communities or organizations. And so when you join, this website, you can ask a question or an issue, and what it'll do is it'll prompt your visitors with the choices that you proposed, but it'll do it pairwise. So instead of saying, what road should we fix first? Here's 20 options. It'll give you 2 of them. Right? Pick, I want 6th Street or 5th Avenue. Next time you come in, it'll give you 2 others or a different combination. And so once you go through all of that, it tallies the votes. It tells you, which one's won, I guess. And so, their data model is very young. They don't really have users or anything fancy like that. So. I had to just base it off of sample data. So I kind of created this visualization based on what they gave me, which was to measure, like each choice is one of these wedges. And so this is kind of showing for each choice who got each choice gets a number of yes votes and a number of no votes. So the yes votes are kind of outside of the translucency, and then the no votes for that choice are inside. So that was an interesting way for me to see how their data was going. They really liked sort of this round theme, so I did that. I added a little bit of interaction, which was to show kind of the number of votes that people got. So for any of you who are looking at Mango thinking it reflects your own personal view on the world, it doesn't. This is what I did. But what it does show is that Mango maybe had, it was maybe really controversial because a lot of people had views on it. But overall, it just kind of threw out in the wash, right? So this was my way of visualizing that component. There was another piece that I worked on last night, which was more around collecting a bunch of these questions together, and I tried to stay within the theme, right? So again, this is kind of, they're grouped by category, and you can see everybody's questions. The logged in user actually isn't gray, so these belong to that user. If you switch the view to me, there it is. Those are kind of my issues, right? And the last thing I did here was unlock this. So that groups them by last updated, so whichever was most recently active. So I had fun kind of creating data visualization toys, and I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
I'm Becca, and I just want to say I've got a new meetup group that's kind of orthogonal to this, which is just full staff database, not specific to any library. I'm trying to have 2 presenters at each meetup, one talking about the back end process and one on the front end. So it's SF full stack data biz, and it's in San Francisco, obviously. So we should hopefully be meeting monthly. Our first meetup is full, but our next meetup should have a much larger capacity, so come sign up. And if you're interested in speaking, find me. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Shirley, and so I've been working on this side project for the past couple months, and the inspiration from this actually came from the fact that my last side project back in October was about the BART strike. And for that side project, a lot of the information I had was cramped into interactions. Like you had to click, you had to hover, and I just wanted to make a simple interface or a clean interface, and I hid all the data so that users can find them when they interacted. And one of the things I noticed about that was that majority, or 30% of my users were coming from mobile, which means that if they could see things on click, but they couldn't see things on, or it was hard to see things on hover. So for this side project that I've been mulling over, I wanted to try and figure out a way to show information in as little interactions as possible. And one of the inspirations came from the D3 on Conf back in March. And one of the talk, or one of the discussions, we were talking about mobile and how we can deal with mobile. And somebody said, well, mobile is all about scrolling. And so for this project, the data set is a YouTube channel called WongFu Productions. I don't know if anybody in this room knows about them, but I'm like a big fangirl of that channel. And so I pulled their data off of the YouTube API. I pulled all their videos, and then from their videos, I did a regex on their descriptions and pulled all of their collaborators via YouTube links. And then I went and pulled the collaborators' videos, and I did it by like a 1-degree association or something like that. And at the same time, I had an interest in the force layout and then showing a time lapse using the force layout. So, so the first iteration came out with, ignore the colorful stripes on the side first. So the first iteration came out with this force layout, which was as the timeline moves, you see the circles being the YouTubers coming in as they join YouTube, and then the links establishing as the videos are added in which they do collaborations. So that was the first iteration, and then when I started seeing these force graphs, I realized that it's kind of hard to understand what's going on when you don't have an actual timeline telling you what's going on. So the next step was trying to figure out what a good way to visualize about like 300, 400 different videos from like 10 different YouTubers onto like a straight vertical timeline without it getting too crowded. I don't know where the inspiration from this came from, but basically each of those lines are one YouTuber, and each of those YouTubers, so if you can see the little dots on here, so I can click on one. So one of these dots are the video that they did. So you can see that for this particular video, it was published by WongFu, and one of their friends, David Choi Music, went and collaborated with them on it. And I've been really excited about this because then, like, if you just like keep scrolling down, wait, hold on. It's work in progress, so bugs. So if you keep scrolling down, you can see like whatever these videos were that I'm passing through, like there were a lot of collaboration back and forth. And then it's like really exciting to see, like, for example, like that light purple one, I think like that one is Kina Grandis. She jumped over onto the WongFu channel for like a good couple months, and then so majority of the interactions have been built into scrolling, but and I've limited my interactions to clicking this time around. So there's no hover. All of the interactions are clicking. So you can click on the line and see who it is. You can click on like one of the like YouTubers over here and see who they are. This is WongFu in the middle. I just built in clicking on one of these dots to see who collaborated on that. That on the side is me trying to dump the information of that video. So you can see whatever this video was, there's a lot of people that collaborated on it. And the current thing that I'm working on is now I want to make this clicking on the video interaction triggered by scroll. So I started on it and it's extremely buggy, so I'll like show a little bit. So now, hopefully this works. Oh yeah, so you can see as I go along, some of the videos are being highlighted and some of them aren't. I haven't figured out why yet. Yeah, so in the short term, I want to get that particular interaction working. And then going from there, I'm gonna try and make it work on tablet, which I don't think I'm gonna change much of the interactions with, but on mobile, I'm gonna take out the force layout and then just make all the interactions, just the scrolling of the timeline. And then we've been talking about making this into music, which would be fun. So each of the lines would be like a different note on the scale. And then every video is when that note gets hit. It's been really fun. Yeah. It's because it looks like that. It either looks like a weird subway map or Guitar Hero. Or like, yeah, so this has been my side project for the last couple months.
Shirley, where is this online? Can we see this online?
Oh wait, yeah. See, okay. So for this particular video, you can see whose it is and stuff because the description is. Anyways, I don't feel ready, but eventually I'll probably tweet it. It's gonna be on. The source code is on my GitHub. It's probably gonna be hosted on GitHub. But yeah, I'll announce it to the world very proudly once I have it done, and I'll probably write about the failures and good things that happened. And
I think it would be a cool idea to make like an application and make like an application and people can pick from YouTube like what videos they want to analyze and so you can do some kind of important analysis for to work on this, how people did that and stuff like that.
so that thought definitely crossed my mind. The biggest restriction with it is I think I'm just really bad at APIs in the sense that I'm really bad at reading, so then I don't have the patience for it. But sorry, what?
It's good to practice, you have to get better at practice.
Yeah, I have to get better at reading. But the point I'm trying to make is so far YouTube. So Google puts a limit on how many hits you can make to the API. So for me, I have to type.
In this case, it's a marketing tool for them, so you get more audience here because people get more interested to look at this one.
For Google?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. The point I was going to make was that for every 50 video queries, I have to time out for a whole minute. But I guess if YouTube supports it, then I don't have to time out at all.
They have a very performant API in the back, so it doesn't.
Sorry, what?
They have very performant API in the back, but they don't look like it very well.
That makes a lot of sense.
Think about their stuff. That's
True. That'd be cool if that happens.
So when you talked about adding notes to the thing like the hardware or things like that, that's a whole field. That's data quantification.
Really?
So I encourage everybody to just look that up or figure that out or whatever. It's a really cool idea. Not a lot has happened in that field for many number of years. So, but it's totally a very it's as rich as visualization.
I'll let you know how that goes. It could either sound really awesome or it could just sound like cats banging on piano keys. I don't know.
Second. And from music point of view, if you pick the black notes on the piano, you can look at it and keep them in the sequence of try that. Like pick the black notes on the piano.
Okay.
So this is actually really cool because like people have done cool stuff with visualizing GitHub, right? Like mixed to GitHub, but like nobody ever did the line thing, and like it's always kind of hard to see what was going on with those. So I'd actually really love to see like.
GitHub, maybe I'll just like go and apply this to every single relationship out there.
It's really the tempo aspect. People are trying to understand how like projects work, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
I don't even know how I came up with this. I was sitting there and I was like thinking to myself, well, what do people want to see? And then I started drawing lines and then this happened. I don't know. But yeah, it'd be cool if I can like play with enough data to make this work for a lot of different things. But, yeah. Oh, and then another really exciting thing that Ian was talking about that completely blew my mind. So 3D printing data visualization completely blew my mind. And if I could do something like that for this, that'd be awesome.
low frame rate.
Well, you can stand and doing something like that. Like they have to make some graphic, I think some chart data or something, and give you a
3D printed chart, sorry.
Stan does that. I don't know exactly his name, but you can ask him. I'm sure you can find together. So he's printing 3D forms or something, maps of your neighborhood or something like that.
Okay. That is mine. Okay, thank you very much.
So, uni is kind of frustrating. That's usually something I get from everyone I talk to, and mostly because, you go to the bus stop, there's a prediction there for the number, hopefully counts downward. Sometimes it actually gets longer and longer and longer wait. And it's frustrating because you get a number which really is a very limited amount of information. It's basically when a certain bus is going a certain direction will be at a certain place, maybe. So you feel like there's not a lot of control. So toss that around in my head for a while. And I had a little bit of time on my hands. I found this next bus API that was pretty interesting. So I was trying to see what I could do with that kind of API. So what I did was I basically plotted every bus in San Francisco on a map. And this is like as far as Uni itself knows, it's like every couple 10, 15 seconds. Right now there's 204 buses, 54 trains. And hand over any one of them and get a path and see where it goes.
What's blue and red?
So I get that question now. Blue is outbound. Red is inbound. Usually that means going into downtown and out of downtown. Unless going north-south, then Marina's inbound and Portugal is outbound. Kind of makes sense. So you can do that. Kind of get a bird's eye view. It's like, oh, I want to look at this one. Then you can zoom in and basically look at every bus, every stop. And then I do an asynchronous call, which I learned how to do last week. Exciting. With Ajax. Ajax is cool. And you could get a prediction. Basically, the intention here is to get rid of scrolling between screens and tapping between screens and just do an entirely purely visual metaphor because I just feel intuitive. Because it's like, oh, I live in the Mission, so I just grab just the map, the Mission, no buzzes around me, I'm gonna wait forever until I switch to 14, and then, oh, does that pass me? I can look, next one's gonna be in 1 minute. If I really want to know where I am now, I can, just look nearby, which I kind of built this fun. Depending, actually this is anchored to Ken's phone, so wherever Ken is, I know. It's right there. So I look nearby and see all the buses near me. But if I'm a local in San Francisco, I know what bus I want to take. I want to take the 49, just stick that in there. I'll zoom to whatever line there is. So just something I made like
That's amazing. I love the name.
It had a really long URL, but it's actually all the buses that you want to visit it. It's kind of a 50-50 where they get through. Sometimes there's an asynchronous load issue. But you guys can play with it. It's on GitHub if you make a good page.
It's cool. Where did you get the data from and how we advance the data?
This is from NextBus, which is a third-party public transit tracker that Uni uses. So it actually does a lot of public transit things in Canada and the US and France, I think. And they have lat long support, which is how I position this. They have the heading of the bus, actually where it's pointing, which is how I get to point the beach marker. And just do a CSS rotate. I actually have speed, like you can tell you how fast it's moving. I didn't do that because it would be really weird to put the mouse over a still point and it tells you it's moving at 50 miles an hour, which is kind of hard to believe because you're not moving on the bus on the map. So I didn't do that. And then those are the main things I have. And then it pulls down like a 2 megabyte JSON file of all 18,000 stops in the system, which actually is what this lacks.
So I'm completely a mapping noob, and I was wondering how. So how did you map the lines?
So the map itself is from OpenGIS. That's just a city map. The lines are actually in. Uni gives that to us. NextBus gives that to us. Both individual stops. So it gives me the latitude of longitude individual stops. And then what I did was I connect the dots from stop to stop to stop. That becomes a problem when I'm talking about, say, the Treasure Island one. Because if you think about it, the two stops, if you just do a connect the dots format, it would connect that dot to the two endpoints, and it would just cross the water amphibiously, which buses don't really do. So I actually had to go in and trace that. And there are a couple of ones like where it's obviously not going across the water. But yeah, that was actually the hardest, the most time-consuming part, was just going in and doing things. Yeah, the bus movie, that's live.
They left the path.
Your treasure island
went off the path.
Oh yeah, what do you think?
Which path?
It didn't follow the route.
It just cut the corner.
Oh yeah, I don't know, I'm looking at that. There are too many buses for me to keep track of.
Some of these drivers.
Go ahead.
So kind of related but not completely related. The other day I found the API for SF Park, which kind of tracks all of the public parking spots in SF. Not related to this, but I thought it would be cool if somebody did something with it.
What I wanted to do with that is until the end of last year, they actually have an API for all the empty parking spots on a meter, because they actually have a sensor. Unfortunately, their batteries expired at the end of last year, so they turned off that part of the API, which is stupid because the meter itself is a pole, and it's powered both by solar power and a ground wire, which is why it's bundling. But that would be really cool if you just get a list of all the expired meters that are around you. That's kind of like saying what are all the spots that could be open or occupied by a car that's about to get ticket. So yeah, it's so.
That's actually useful.
But I wonder
You don't even have to have a meter made anymore.
no, they just need a camera. They just need a camera pointing at the license.
You sell people a service that saves them from the meter.
Yeah.
I gotta do it.
Yeah.
Still have to have the James Bond license plate, which is
But the red circles can.
Cool. Well, thanks.
Yeah.